For my game, I want to create a game where a character has to be dragged around, avoiding bad things and collecting good things. I'm going to start off by creating the bad things. Let's make the bad things the flower. So I want the flower to randomly move around the screen. So when the game starts, I'm going to repeat forever. Let's set the speed to 200. Set angle to, I want it to be random, so any direction. Random number between 1 and 360. Then I'm going to have it move forward, let's say 200. And I don't want it to do it quickly right away after it does something, so I'm going to say random number between 200 and let's say 1000 milliseconds. So now I've got the flower moving around in random directions around the screen. I am going to, instead of pasting that into a number of new flowers, I am going to create some custom code. So I'm going to delete this, add a new block. I'm going to call it random move. Random move is going to include the stuff I did earlier, set speed to 200, etc., all this stuff. Now, anytime I put random move into the code, the thing is going to randomly move. Now I have a bunch of flowers and a few donuts that all have this custom code in it for random movement. So when the game plays, they randomly move around the screen. What I want to do is add a character that I can drag around with my finger and avoid the flowers and collect the donuts. So I want this character to always be setting its position to the last place the user touched. X position goes to the last touch X, and Y position goes to the last touch Y. This allows the user to drag it around the screen, and I can avoid some things and go for others. So now we want some consequences for when the frog collides with things. I don't want to set up these consequences within the frog because right now I'd have to set it up for each individual flower or donut. I don't want to take that much time. So instead of that, I'm going to go into a flower and create some custom code here. When self bumps the frog, and then I created a new custom code called decrease life. Within this code, I need to set a variable. So I've created a variable called frog lives here. And each time self, that's the flower, bumps the frog, I want to increase frog lives by -1. So the frog loses a life each time it bumps a flower. And that's what's going to be in the decrease life code. The increase and decrease seems a little confusing, like why isn't there a command to decrease lives? I don't know. Hopscotch doesn't have it, so instead we have to say increase the lives by -1. Okay, I've now added that decrease life custom code to all the flowers. So now when we play the game, every time the frog hits a flower, it's losing a life. So why is nothing happening right now when the frog hits a flower? Well, that's because we didn't give the game any instructions. There's this magic number somewhere called frog lives that is going down by -1 every time it hits a flower. But nothing cares. We didn't create anything to happen. So we need to show that. For that, we need to set some text. I'm just going to set this as the word lives right now. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to go in here when the game starts, always, and this is important, set text to, what do we need to set text to? The variable frog lives. So now this text will always be showing the number of lives that frog has. Right now it's 0. Every time it hits a flower, it's -1. Keeps going. Every time it bumps, that number goes down. I'm now at -25, 26, 27, 28. But the game still doesn't care. All we did was have that number go down by 1 every time frog hits a flower. So we need to make the game do something whenever that happens. So let's go into that custom code. When we decrease life, let's play a sound. Let's play the sound. Great. And we don't want to wait any time before it starts, so let's just do that. Now when we play the game, every time a flower hits the frog, it makes that noise. Now when the game starts, the frog lives are 0. We want the game to start with frog having probably more than that. So let's set frog lives to 5 at the beginning. Now when we play, frog starts out with 5 lives. And every time he hits a flower, he loses 1. But the game doesn't care what happens if it goes into negatives. We need to make the frog care. So let's do this. When the game starts, we're going to have the frog always checking. Check once if frog lives equals 0. So if the frog has 0 lives, we want the frog to disappear. Now, while the game is being played, hits the flowers, 1 more life and he disappears. And now he's gone. The frog has died. I want something good to happen whenever the frog hits a donut. And the way we do this is we can add a score. So I'm going to do this in the donut here. Whenever self bumps the frog, I'm going to add a new custom code here. Increase score. And whenever the self bumps the frog, I'm going to increase, and I created this variable here, score by 1. I'm now going to copy all of this code to each one of the donuts. Now, whenever we play, whenever frog hits a donut, his score is going up by 1. However, we don't see that yet because we didn't create a text character to show that on the screen. So I always want this text to be set to score. Now when we play, the score is 1. If I hit a donut, it becomes 2, 3, 4, always happening. So now we are collecting the donuts. Oh, I lost a life. So this is variables. These are numbers that vary as the game goes on. What you're going to do the rest of the period here is take this game you've made with me and try to clean it up a little bit, make it more fancy. Maybe you can add a heart in front of the lives, so you can show that, or the word score in front of the score over here. You can make the donuts disappear If you want, once they're collected and then somehow reappear, you can make this game more creative as you work throughout the day.